Hey guys, welcome back to my small engine repair channel. Today's project is on this, it's a Yardworks 27-inch, 8.5 horsepower Tecumseh two-stage snowblower. And I made a previous video on this one. And turns out that there is no reverse 1 gear, and R2 reverse 2 is very slow. And the first forward gear is a little faster than it probably should be. So I'm going to show you what to look for and how we're going to go ahead and adjust the transmission. So guys, as you can see, the first thing you're going to have to do is to flip the machine over up on its bucket. When you do that, just be cognizant of the fact that you might have a little bit of fuel spillage out of the carburetor area on some machines, so be prepared for that. So what I would do is just make sure that I clip off the or pinch off the fuel line. The other thing you want to make sure you do is just make sure that the fuel cap is on nice and tight, and the oil cap as well down here. I want to make sure that those two items are on nice and tight and not leaking any fluids. I try to keep the fluid level less than half tank when I do this if I can. Otherwise, I'll put a plastic bag up and underneath this cap and twist the cap back on to try and help with that. Last thing, sometimes you might have to make sure that your chute is off to the side. Depending on what kind of blower it is, the chute might actually hit the ground first before the bucket. So anyways, next thing I'm going to do is to remove the 4 screws here. They're 3/8 screws or bolts on this particular machine. And then we're going to be able to take off this belly pan and have access to all of the inner workings of this MTD transmission. So usually you gotta push this down and back towards you. Here's where we're gonna find out if you have any critters. Sometimes they will build a nest up and underneath this area. And here is the transmission of this particular snowblower. A lot of these transmissions all work pretty much the same, guys. Okay, so what you're going to do, the 2 items for your transmission up top here are of course the gear selector. All right, and you also have a engagement. Okay, when I hit the engagement, what it's going to do is it's going to pull up on this drive disc, and that drive disc is going to mate with this friction disc. Now this drive disc is constantly spinning from a belt, which looks like it is in very, we'll take a look at the belt later, but this guy's always going to be spinning. And so when it rotates and it comes up and mates with this guy, that is going to then drive the wheels. Okay, now dependent on the positioning of this friction disc, okay, in relationship to the center point of the drive wheel or the drive disc, will determine if it's going to be forward gears or backwards gears or reverse gears. So right now you can see it's almost basically perfectly in the center, just about. Okay, so that means with that perfectly in the center, which is almost basically a neutral gear, you can see right now it's in upside down, of course. It's in R1, so basically that's neutral. Unfortunately, how it's set up right now. So I'm going to pull this up into R2, and you're going to see that it's going to come off the center a little bit to the right. Okay, so basically what that means is that here are your reverse gears. The further away from the center you are, then the faster this will spin. And if it's on this side of center, you're going to be spinning in reverse. If it's on this side of center, it's going to be forward. So the R1 gear basically should almost be essentially where this R2 gear is. Because right now R2 is just slow reverse because it's so close to the center. So we're going to need to be, we're going to have to adjust this left or right to be able to get the proper gearing from this thing. So let me show you how to do that. All right, now to adjust how much this will travel, I'm going to put it basically into the R2 position, which I have it up there already, and I'm going to try and move this over ever so slightly a little bit further to the right. Now to do that, it's done through this cable and this assembly right here, this bracket. So if I were to push up or rotate this counterclockwise, this particular bracket, watch what happens to my friction disc. It actually goes just slightly more to the right. All right, guys, so the easiest way to adjust this this bracket is to put it in the forward 6 gear, or the highest forward gear that you have. So I'm going to put it all the way up into the forward most gear, and that releases a lot of the tension on this cable. Now what we're going to need to do is we're going to need the drive or the friction disc to come over just ever so slightly so that when it finishes up in reverse, it's a little bit further away and a little bit faster in R2. To do that, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to adjust this bracket so that it actually puts a little bit more tension on the cable from right from the beginning. So we're going to have to loosen this 7/16 nut and bolt. There's a bolt that you're going to have to hold the bolt head, and then you're going to want to rotate that this way, all right, to get more reverse and less forward gear. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark this spot right now with a Sharpie so I can kind of have a reference as to my starting point. And then from there, I'm going to loosen these two off, and I'm going to push this bracket down and then retighten. All right, so this is where it'd be nice to have like 3 hands, honestly. So loosen that off, and right away it wants to slacken up the cable even more, but I actually need it to generate more tension here that will drive this over just a little bit. Okay, and that should be good enough. Now here's the tricky part, is to try and keep this tension on here while holding the bottom and tightening the top. Oh, of course I put it on backwards. So I'm just going to start with this much. I don't know how, I might have to readjust it again later, but just tighten that down. And now you can see I've actually moved this whole bracket down this way some, which drove this nut and bolt up, and that actually is putting a little more tension on that guy. So now we're in forward 6. So I'm going to put it in forward 1 first. Okay, here we got forward 1, and it should be just to the left of the center position, which looks pretty good to me, but we'll see how reverse 1 now looks. Hopefully it's just to the right of center, and looky there, just to the right of center it is, and then R2 should be further right of center. for a little bit faster. There it is. So guys, that's how you adjust the transmission on one of these MTD style snow blowers, and get your first gear, either first forward gear or first reverse gear back available to you. So hopefully this was informative, guys. If you liked the content, if it helped you out, if you enjoyed watching it, please smash the like button. That really helps me out. And if you're not a subscriber, consider doing so. I post videos like this all the time. So anyways, guys, till our next project, take care.